Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here again, sifting through the research you sent over, looking for those really potent nuggets of knowledge.
That's right.
And today, we're on a pretty critical mission, I'd say. We're tackling the art of negotiation, specifically persuasion. How do you actually convince someone?
Yeah, get them from no to yes, genuinely.
We've gone through all the source material, and
Yeah.
we're zeroing in on what could really change how we handle these high-stakes talks. And get this, right off the bat, there's this surprising claim. It's that the stuff we usually lean on, the big reports, the solid facts, all the stats.
The logical arsenal.
Exactly. Those are described as just. Well, fine, adequate, but, and this is the kicker, they are not the most effective way to truly convince somebody.
Which really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? Especially now when everything feels so data-driven.
Totally. We just assume, pile the evidence, make it irrefutable, and boom, you win the argument.
But if that pure logic isn't the magic key, it forces us to pivot, right? We have to ask, what's the real mechanism here? Okay.
And the research we looked at, it strongly suggests the best persuaders. They're playing a different game altogether. If stacking facts isn't efficient, well, the answer seems to be something more human.
More human-like feelings.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
Empathy, that seems to be the core.
Okay, empathy. Let's unpack this because for a lot of us, negotiation is the argument. It's defending your point with data. That's how we're trained, often.
Right.
So if we're moving away from logic as the primary tool, where does that actually leave us? What are we moving towards?
We're shifting the objective. It's not about winning an intellectual sparring match anymore. It's about achieving emotional alignment.
Emotional alignment.
Yeah. The key insight here is that people rarely change their minds just because they got new information. It's not usually what tips the scale. They change their minds when they get new context, or maybe more accurately, when they manage to integrate that new idea into their own sense of self, their worldview.
Okay, that's interesting. So it's less about the data itself and more about how it fits into their picture? Precisely. Think about it psychologically. You hit someone with facts that clash with a belief they hold really strongly. Their brain doesn't just calmly process the data.
No, it goes into defense mode.
Exactly. It triggers identity protection. They aren't necessarily resisting your logic. They're resisting the change to their identity or their view of the world that accepting your point would require.
Wow.
The source material backs this up. The resistance. It's often personal, not intellectual.
So, okay, if they're busy protecting their identity, how does empathy get around that? Are we just talking about, pulling on heartstrings here?
That's a fair question.
Because that sounds like it could easily slide into manipulation, right? If
Yeah.
we focus only on feelings and kind of sideline the facts that support our case.
That's a crucial distinction, absolutely. And it helps us draw the line between real persuasion and manipulation. Manipulation tries to control the outcome by, exploiting feelings, often fear, maybe greed. Genuine empathy, at least as it's defined in this research, is about creating a space. A space where the other person chooses to step into your perspective because they see a shared need, a mutual interest.
Right.
It's not about making them feel sorry for you. It's about helping them understand how your interests actually align with theirs. The source is very clear. The goal is not to win a debate.
What is it then?
The goal is to create a situation where they see themselves in what you're saying. That shift happens when you stop arguing at them.
And start speaking for both of you.
You got it. That's the essence.
That makes a lot more sense. It's like instead of telling a colleague, you need to approve this software because the efficiency reports say so, you frame it differently.
How so?
Like, look, this change, it's crucial, so neither of us is stuck here next Saturday night manually fixing quarterly report data. You're bringing it into their world, their potential pain points.
Exactly. You're connecting it to their lived experience.
And this is where, for me, it got really practical. Because the research doesn't just say use empathy.
Right.
It actually gives us, the blueprints, specific steps for building that connection.
Right, the actionable stuff.
Yeah. If the goal is this psychological alignment, how do we actually construct that bridge during the conversation?
Well, it requires a pretty significant shift in focus, a disciplined one. You have to consciously move the spotlight off your needs, your arguments,
And shine it onto them.
fully onto the recipient's internal experience. You're not trying to sell the brilliance of your idea in a vacuum. You're trying to help them internalize the value of your idea for them.
Okay, so helping them internalize the value.
And crucially, it's not just about intellectual understanding. That's part one. The real goal is to help them feel your needs, Feel them as if they were their own immediate concern.
Feel the need.
That's the resonance point. That's where resistance tends to just melt away.
So it boils down to mirroring them, providing context they recognize. We need to learn their emotional language first, basically, and then phrase our request using their terms, their perspective. The research really emphasizes speaking their language, which, let's be honest, many of us skip when we just stick to our own jargon or metrics.
Very true.
We've got 3 specific techniques outlined here for building that bridge. It's all about immersing ourselves in their world. First, use their references.
Okay.
Second, adopt their perspective. Think about what success means to them.
Right.
And third, leverage their experience. Use what they already know or have gone through.
Let's break those down quickly because they're the mechanics, right? Using their references, that's about showing you get their world.
Yeah.
If you're talking to, say, an engineering lead, don't talk about driving synergy, talk about reducing technical debt or improving API latency. You're signaling, hey, I speak your language. I understand your reality.
Got it. And adopting their perspective that forces you outside your own little bubble, your own KPIs.
Definitely.
So if I'm in sales trying to negotiate a lower price with someone in operations, my goal is more sales volume now.
Right, volume.
But their perspective is probably more about keeping margins stable and managing resources. So I can't just push for a price cut for sales' sake.
No, you'd need to frame it differently.
Maybe frame the price cut as a way to, say, reduce inventory overhead, which actually helps their goal of stability.
Exactly. You're aligning with their definition of success. And that third one, leveraging their experience, that's maybe the most potent.
Why is that?
Because it grounds your request in something they already accept as real, their own past. This is where that specific scenario suggestion comes in.
The one about describing a similar situation.
Yes. Instead of launching straight into your current problem, you first talk about a situation like yours. One they might have already experienced or could experience tomorrow.
Ooh, that phrase, could experience tomorrow. That hits differently.
It really does. It makes the abstract need feel immediate, visceral, personal. Suddenly, you're not just talking about your problem over there.
You're talking about something that feels like it could land on their desk tomorrow morning.
Precisely. It shifts it from a transaction into a shared potential problem, a mutual thing to solve.
Okay, let's run with an example, maybe that budget one again. I need more budget for, say, better cloud infrastructure.
Okay.
Just listing stats on scalability and cost savings.
Yeah.
That's the logic approach.
Right.
Probably only mildly effective, as we've discussed.
Fine approach.
Right.
Yeah.
But what if I describe a scenario? Maybe a competitor whose similar underfunded system crashed during a massive product launch. And that crash caused this huge crisis, forcing them, the person I'm talking to, imagine them having to fly out, manage the mess personally.
You're painting a vivid picture.
Now they're not just hearing numbers. They're almost pre-feeling the stress, the late nights, the potential hit to their reputation if that happened here.
You've put them right into a scenario where your solution, the budget increase, becomes the obvious way to avoid a pain they already recognize and fear. And that really nails down the main takeaway, doesn't it? Effective persuasion isn't about how heavy your arguments are. It's about the context you create and the mirroring you do.
Yeah, the whole focus shifts to their internal experience, how they feel it, not just the objective brilliance of your pitch.
Right.
So think about our next important conversation. The big lesson is engineer that emotional connection first. Let the facts back it up, sure, but don't rely on them to do the heavy lifting alone.
Remember, the goal isn't just agreement. It's deeper. It's empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to that final piece of actionable advice from the research. Next time you need to convince someone, stop trying to win the debate. Forget just stacking up the data points. Instead, try to create an echo. That's where real persuasion starts.
Create an echo. I like that. What does that mean exactly?
The echo is that moment your need, your request, bounces off their own background, their experiences, and comes back sounding familiar to them. Personal. Immediately felt.
So they hear their own potential story and you're...
Exactly. They recognize the sound of their own potential pain or maybe their own potential gain reflected in what you're saying.
That's a really powerful metaphor. Create an echo. It sums it all up nicely. The data is still part of the picture.
Of course.
But it serves the echo, supports it, rather than the other way around. So effective persuasion, based on this deep dive, it hinges on engineered empathy. crafting that narrative where they can see themselves.
And, this whole discussion raises a bigger question, something maybe worth mulling over after we wrap up.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
Well, if we accept this premise that logic and facts often aren't enough to change minds in these critical negotiations, if identity and feeling are the real gatekeepers,
Okay.
what does that tell us about how we process information and form beliefs in, well, all the other parts of our lives?
Oh, that's a really interesting point. If we're wired to resist logic when our perspective isn't met first.
Does it mean we need to fundamentally rethink what winning an argument even means? Maybe in public discourse in our communities, everywhere.
Wow. If the path forward, professionally, maybe even personally, isn't just about information density, but about human connection, that really changes the game for communication strategies.
Something to think about.
Definitely. So the assignment for all of us listening, focus on creating that echo. Try it out.
See what happens.
Thanks for diving deep with us today. This was fascinating. We'll catch you next time.